So I've got, it's because like you have a sessions where you've got a day with someone sometimes to see how it gets on. And I've got it's like quickly trying to work out, okay, is this an artist or is it an entertainer? And they're two different things, and there's place for both. But like an artist is someone who's like, it doesn't matter what it's going to do afterwards. It's about what we create, what this art is. And then there's entertainers who just need content to be able to keep themselves in the public eye, keep themselves. And, it's kind of working out, where's this person coming from? Are they coming from, does that make sense what I'm saying?
100%, 100%. Let me do the formal intro. So, well, thank you very much, Gethin Pearson. Thank you for joining us on Kredd. Virtual round of applause from everyone who's going to watch it in a couple of weeks.
Kredd go mild.
Yeah. So I'll introduce you. So, producer, engineer, mixer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, musician, former primary school teacher.
Yeah. You've done your research.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, John told me all this, so it's it's got to be true. He told me he used to have a coal bunker as well.
I'm still in there now.
Still in it. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And sort of, I guess, you kind of started in what you'd call alt rock, I suppose. With like the Funeral from a Friend thing, and then the Mallory Knox thing, and then if you throw in like the Enemy, still rock, but you're getting a bit more sort of traditional sort of sounding, but then you go right across genres. I would say it's always slightly to the left of mainstream, but definitely pop music, because then if you throw in doing some production for Alma and French Montana, Kelly from Block Party, Crystal Fighters, you work with all of Gartland.
Yeah.
My namesake, Damon, Badly Drawn Boy.
Yeah.
It's not genre specific, is it?
Well, that's the thing. Like, my thing is like, you look for your record collection. It's not just one sound.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, it's like you got different moods, different feels. And my thing is kind of like, it's not about genre. It's about the artist. So it's about, okay, this art. It's like it's looking at where their journey's going, or where I can put them, where we can take them, rather than it being like, oh, you come to, let's work together because this is what your drums are going to sound like. This is what you're going to do. It's like, almost like producing records by mold type of thing. And there's people out there who do great work in that fit, where they're like, you go for that sound. If you want the top of the game of that sound, go there. But my thing is kind of, I think, which is maybe, it's like, takes a bit longer to maybe to make a name for yourself like that, or to kind of gain a reputation, because you can't be put on in that's his sound, or that's her, that's their sound. So it's kind of, it's about taking an artist on a journey, or like trying to open new doors to them, or trying to help them say something that they haven't, had the confidence to say yet, or haven't, found the way to say it. So it's kind of, I maybe approach it more from that angle rather than like a genre specific angle.
Yeah, no, but that's really cool, because I mean, if you go back to the roots of pop or rock and roll, like you go, all right, Phil Spector. If you went to Phil Spector, you'd be lucky to get out alive out of his castle for a start. But you kind of know what sound you're going to get. It's the wall of sound.
Wall of sound, yeah. Well, it could be, you could insert singer here on those records, and obviously love those records, reference those records, type of thing. But I think especially, it's a different time. Yeah, it's a different era. It's a different time as well. Yeah. And it's like, what's amazing now is for artists, even across records, you can have such a span of sounds and genres on a record. It's kind of, and that's the joy, that's the challenge of it as well. It's like, right, how can I take them to all these different places across a record, but also make it flow as a record? Because I'm still, although, how the way people listen to music's evolved, maybe not even for the better, but you can't fight it. That's what's happening. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm still put it on, listen to it through. That's how I was, brought up listening to music, and that's how I still like to, indulge in music. Is how it's going to flow as a journey. We still talk about, on, you know, every record I work on. It's, oh, how's this going to segue into that track? Or wouldn't it be great for a little interlude here?
Yeah.
Like they're the bits that make something feel like, oh, it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. So so it's not rather a case of just like insert single on this backing track, insert singing on this backing track. Because I'll get asked a lot of times, oh, have you got any backing tracks we can write to? It's like, no, let's write the song and then decide what the track's going to sound like, type of thing. And it's like, and I've lost out on things because of that. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's got to be a good song first, right, before we decide what world we're going to put it in.
Yeah.
Rather than like, oh, here's 50 beat ideas, here's 50 pieces of music, see what you can do on top of that. You know, it's more, I like it. It's more of a collaborative thing. You know, it's kind of the way the beat lands is going to be depending on what the vocal, you know, the syncopation of the vocal, and things like that.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting you say that because I'm still signed to Notting Hill as one of their commercial songwriters, and I've never done any of that for them. They're just used to be my publishers, but they keep sending me this stuff, and it's like even more so during lockdown. But every day I'd get about 10 emails with 10 instrumentals. That all they need is the top line. And I always thought, what do you mean all it needs? Yeah. Basically, it needs the song.
Yeah. It's such an interesting, but you know, it's kind of like, I guess that's when it falls into, when creativity becomes industry, isn't it, in business? When it's like, you're seen as, it's like, you know, people quote unquote market themselves as certain jobs within it. Like, I'm just a top liner. It's like, what do you mean? You don't say you're just a top liner. You're already underselling the fact that you're writing the melody hook of the song, type of thing. It's like, I can't do, we need a top liner in the room today. It's like, do we? Because it's like, you sing and write great songs. You already, you know, it's kind of this weird thing where maybe we've taken confidence away from people that they always need. We need as many people in the room as possible, you know, rather than it kind of being about what's right for this project, what's right for this artist right now, type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes that, if you've got particularly if you've been working with someone for a certain amount of time, you know, as a producer or co-writer, whatever your role is with them to help them get to that vision, you know, to get what's in their head and help form it and put it to a point where people go, you know, people listen to it and it's finished. But when you get that small group, as you said, it's like, why sometimes you don't need to bring people in. And by bringing people in who will then have a different attitude to what's been going on, particularly if they're, let's bring in a top line writer, they're thinking, their thing is, okay, well, if I do this, then it might be a hit. So then I can get some, you know, get some PRS on it, blah, 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 which is I'm not criticising them, but it's a different way of looking at it, isn't it? It immediately makes it more business.
Well, it's like the conversation that's been happening this week with your man from Spotify, what he said, type of thing. It's like, that kind of sums that up. It's like, you know, I have a lot of chats with people about, you know, for a while I thought I was maybe chasing like the wrong avenues of like seeing that as success almost, seeing that as what it needed to be, kind of almost like these songs that are written by committee almost, kind of, you know. And again, there is a place for it, but also it's kind of, you know, that kind of ethos is like, we just need as much songs as possible. It doesn't matter what the song is, as long as there's music to release that we can build this brand on, that we can build this kind of personality around. It's just some music to go along with the fashion endorsement and this endorsement and this. It's just so they got something to say rather than having something to say.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think that's the thing. It's like, I just want something to say rather than I've got something to say.
Yeah, it's like that. I think, right, I've got something important to say, and I might say it once every 2, 3, 4 years. And then the other side, the sort of the business side, is like, give me something to say, and I'll say it lots and lots and lots and lots of times. But but with those things, I don't think you build a longevity, because it was, I can't remember who I was talking to. It might have been. No, I forget. It might have been Mitch, and I'm not sure. It was someone that... It was a producer who was working with Idlewild.
Okay.
And their ethos was, we want to make a record that could be, the next person who listens to it, could be their favourite band forever.
Oh, yeah. Well, their first records were.
Yeah.
You know, Idlewild, like when, you know, I was 15, 16 when Captain EP came out and when Hope Is Important came out. And they're still like... you know, it's sometimes I'll go back and listen to them like in terms of like a reference and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I don't want it to sound like that. But how I remember how it sounds and what it did to me at that time, the lyrics, the feeling, the energy of it, so that shaped me forever type of thing. So yeah, that's totally that thing. You don't know who's going to listen to it and what it can do type of, and it's not to put that pressure on yourself all the time, but at the same time, put that pressure on yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, well, it's you say that, and that's an artist mentality.
Yes.
And it's the same when I was working with Damon on this Badly Drawn Boy album. It's been a long time since he put out a record, and he was so conscious about every detail of it. And it was kind of like, and about, lyrical content, and because that's an artist. He cares about that. It doesn't matter whether, it's about the quality of it, it's about the art, it's about what he's saying, it's about does that encapture what I want to say, and does that feed into the next one properly? And that's so I've got, it's because you have a sessions where you've got a day with someone sometimes to see how it gets on. And I've got, it's quickly trying to work out, okay, is this an artist or is it an entertainer? And they're two different things, and there's place for both. But an artist is someone who's it doesn't matter what it's going to do afterwards. It's about what we create, what this art is. And then there's entertainers who just need content to be able to keep themselves in the public eye, keep themselves. And it's kind of working out where's this person coming from? Are they coming from? Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
100%. So how did the doing the record with Damon come about then?
So we've got the same management at Big Life.
Okay.
We've got the same management at Big Life so he had started this record a good few years ago. He'd been with a few different people, and he just kind of wasn't making headway with it. He'd got a little bit come up against a few walls with it. I had worked on something, and I had jokingly said to my manager, "Oh, well, you could see that as my audition for a badly drawn boy record," like tongue-in-cheek joking. And it was, that record, that wasn't my mindset. It was just like a flippant thing. And then 2 weeks later, I had a call. He said, "Well, you made that joke. How would you be up for going to have a meeting?" And I was like, "Yeah, lovely." He was like, so I went to meet, and he just said where he was at with things. And had a lot of ideas started, like loads of songs started from 7 years ago up until last year, where he not the year before I met him, just kind of was like, I just can't do. I just kind of got a bit lost with it. So we had a good breakfast, a good chat about things, saying how I like to work, saying, and saying, he was saying what he was looking for from someone. So we just said, he showed me some of the ideas, and I thought they were incredible. His songs are in, it's kind of no matter what form they're in, once you hear his sense of melody it's incredible, and even if he just hums the melody, you're already dancing to it or crying. And then he showed some little lyric snippets as well. It was an amazing experience. I was like, even if this doesn't happen, just to sit next to him at his piano and him play, and he was just playing me some ideas. I was like, trying to take a memory snapshot of this moment, because this is beautiful. So anyway, we got in the studio a few weeks later, started some ideas, and then he was like, "Well, when can we get back?" When can we get back? And then, from between the March and the August, we had made the record.
Oh, fabulous. Wow.
Yeah,
which is amazing, because obviously he'd started it 7 years before.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, in the right context for him now, working with you, it was condensed and done.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. It was kind of, and a lot of it was almost there, it just needed a bit of a kind of a refresh, or just a different energy maybe brought to the room. A lot of it's about energy and perspective rather than, changing everything. My job it's not about going in and changing everything. Sometimes it's about just saying, this is done.
Yeah.
It's not about saying, "Oh, well, I'm going to do this, and I think we should do this, and I think we should do this." That's not my role type of thing. It's kind of being like,
yeah, it's done. Yeah.
Turn the vocals up.
Yeah, just let me finish the mix. That's it. It's done.
But we retracked. We went to Mono Valley for a day or two to my friend Dave, who plays in his band Boyazuga.
I know Dave.
Incredible. Like we've worked together on things for years, you know, and he's a massive Damon fan as well. So that was it was a beautiful thing seeing them interact with each other, and Damon really liked his record as well. It was a really nice moment. So Dave we went to Monterey Valley for 2 days and like pretty much did all new drums on the record. And we went then to Eve's studio, which is I love going there. It's just outside of Stockport, and we did the rest of it there as well as in Pontypool.
Wicked.
Yeah. So it was great, and it was an interesting process that one.
And it's funny that because I said sometimes artists get, and obviously this is something that Daniel Ek from Spotify will have no concept of. It's not like, oh, why is Badly Drawn Boy being so lazy? Why hasn't he put this record out? It's not that at all, is it? It's like,
no,
I've hitting blocks on what I want to do with these things, and I've been working on this, and then you get the frustration, and then you put it aside.
Well, confidence as well. Then the longer you leave it, it's kind of, that was a big thing with it was, maybe a few lifestyle changes over, and it was kind of the things that helped him, kind of block off the things that were saying this isn't good enough or this isn't right yet. Things you were using to block those things off. You're not if you're not still using that, then that's there. The voice is louder. So it was kind of a lot of chats of like, look, those things didn't make the record. You made the record. Yeah. Type of thing. It was like maybe they weren't helping the record. Maybe they were clouding things. It's like you're thinking clearer now, type of thing. It's kind So there was a lot of it wasn't just it's it's an artist. It's everything, but everything you do is about your output, isn't it? Your creativity is kind of every little nuance in life is you kind of is it's all towards that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, because it's art, and it's everything is made out of the personality of the person
and the emotion.
Exactly. And as you said, sometimes being a producer is just about bringing a positivity to it. And like you said, it's almost like, no, this is really good, just turn the vocal up, or let's just redo the drums and then it's done.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It was kind of like, when I was because I was part-time primary school teacher and part-time doing production for years, for lots, and everyone was like, oh, it's like you're leading a double life. I was like, no,
it's my life.
It's exactly the same. It's kind of, except with a band or an artist, it's just less kids. It's kind of, it's the same. It's the same. If you think about it, it was like somebody bringing me a demo saying, what do you think? Is the same as someone bringing their first draft of a story saying, what do you think? And me saying, okay, this is what I love about it. This is where we can maybe make it better. Whether it be the middle eight's not great, or whether it be this ending of the story, why has he just woke up and it's all a dream?
Yes,
type of thing. It's like, it's kind of, it's finding helping people find, the best version of themselves. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same role. It's like, I went to do like one of those talks at a uni about production. I said, my advice to you is quit this course. It wasn't the great thing to do because I didn't get invited back, but I couldn't lie. I was like, look, my advice to you is if you want to get a degree in psychology. Because you will know more about how to read the room with people, how to get a vibe of people, how to know when that one person in the band is always being shushed down.
Yes.
But it's got an amazing idea in them and just needs the confidence and other people to give them the space to let it out, type of thing. I was like, take your grant, go and buy some equipment, record every day, and go. If you need the degree or you want the degree, or if there's pressure on you to get a degree, go and do psychology or teaching or something, and you'll learn how to communicate. And it's like not charge in with an idea.
Yes.
Or let someone develop. Let someone find that it's wrong themselves. Or not wrong's not the word. I always try and say it's not wrong. It's just not right yet.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever, because you got to go there to get. It's not A to B, is it?
No chance. No chance.
A to Z, then back to B, type of thing. And sometimes you go through the Greek alphabet as well.
So I mean, sometimes it's like wandering around some sort of maze at night, You know what I mean? And then without even realising it, you've come out the other side like, there it is. There's, you know, particularly with songwriting, you know, when you're trying to put chords together. And I was doing it yesterday. And I was like, I couldn't find the right chord. And I was there with the piano and my guitar. And then ended up just doing something else. And it was just pinged into my head.
Yeah.
Oh,
space for space, yeah.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? And it's not, as I said, you can't learn those things by studying them. Yeah. You can only learn them by actually physically doing it.
That's it, yeah. That's it. And it's kind of, you know, and it's a shame that, like, I know there are some great courses out there, but it's people who have, you know, been on those 3-4 years ones, and they've been in a studio like 3 times.
Yeah.
It's like, if you know, it's kind of, but anyway, that's a different topic. That's a different subject. But yeah, that's what I mean about that. So like when people are saying like you got this double life thing, it's kind of it's the same role really. Yeah, same role.
Yeah. So I guess obviously you didn't go and study production.
No.
Yeah. Whereas like I was talking to Mitch Mitchner, and he studied production, but what he was saying was the day he graduated, there was 70 engineers, producers, all going for the same jobs, you know, as assistants in London. So he just started in his scene in Watford, which ended up spawning Gallows and the Rattlesnakes, and he got his band Haunts together. He just started doing demos for mates.
That's it. Yes, it's similar. Well, me and Mitch, we've toured together in the past. Like we know each other. We got the same manager. Like we got me and Mitch, and we have good chats. And again, we have those similar conversations. It's kind of like, you know, how we both haven't come up in that same kind of. We learned the rope. We made tea for people. Then we went up that way, which is kind of like, again, there is, but with the way that the things have shifted and the way studios are now, it's like those chances and opportunities are, you know, the chances of that are slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, like minute. And it's kind of, it's like, we're going to make music, whatever room we're in, whatever we had, you know, to our hands. It was like, I remember getting an M box and thinking, this is it. Wow. I've got a studio. 2 ins, 2 outs. But that and a laptop, and I was like, I can make records now.
Well, yeah.
You know, and I was in my bedroom at home doing again, the demos for friends. And then when we managed to get this place with a little basement, I was, you know, the same thing, started off with demos, and all of a sudden it was like, it just got out of hand, basically. and now here I am. It's a joke that got out of hand.
It's a joke that got brilliant. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. So it's that those traditional roots. If you want to find a way, you find a way, I think.
I think so, yeah. I mean, that's what I did. And what's funny, like people I was in bands with at school, and then you go to sixth form, and then you start another band, and after a while, they've all you got an attrition rate, and they've all gone off and got proper jobs, and you're still there. And people say, what are you doing? I said, well, this is what I'm going to do. And it's that kind of youthful, I don't know, stubbornness mixed with stupidity and belief that it's going to happen, you know. Yeah. And you did.
It's survival of the thickest.
Wicked.
The thickest of skin type of thing. It's survival of the thickest. That's how you get through it. It's like, it's like, oh, another knock, never mind, on we go type of thing.
Yeah, no, it is, isn't it?
You got this for hook though, isn't it? It's like, what else are you going to do? It's like how you take that, if you take that thing out of life, then all the people you know through it and your friends, your true friend are usually people you've met through it.
Yeah.
You know, all those relationships you have with people through it, you know, even things of like, or if you took out the music aspect of your life or creative aspect of your life, it'd be like, whoa, what?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's really interesting, that whole thing. And I said, you know, there are many different routes. Some like old school people who've started earlier, like I was talking to Cameron Craig, who's like head of MPG. Started in Australia doing that route of assisting, you know, making the tea, assisting. Then he moves to London. He has to start again, making the tea, assisting, doing that thing. But then conversely, you got people like you and Mitch, and then Tom Manning kind of did the same thing, did a bit of assisting. And then he's like, right, I'm going to London to be a producer.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I can't get any work. I'm going to come back to Wales and demo anybody who wants to make a demo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Even if it's just 50 quid, let's do it now.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's kind of like, and it's about everything. All of those things they're not wasted time, or they're not, because you learn something with everyone and on everything.
Yeah.
And you don't, and it's kind of like, you don't know who you're going to find, what you're going to find musically, personality wise, friendship wise, along the way of it as well. And it's kind of, in those occasions, you're almost like, it's like, we would be doing this whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Whatever type of thing, So it's kind of, that, because I was doing like demos here for bands for ages, doing everything. Like, I've got a 2x2 room next door and a 2x2 room here, doing full band stuff in there. And it wasn't until like the house was shaking from the drums and next door, I'm only on a terrace street.
Wow.
Then that was kind of like, I was doing BBC Radio live sessions from here as well, Radio Wales sessions from here. But, that I was kind of pushed out of that by circumstance to use places like Mono Valley, Rockfield, other studios. And then I was like, there's a value to these places. Yes. I love, to take go there, and the space and the equipment and, the energy that those places have or had, depending which one, depending where you're at. And, so that leveled things up then as well. That kind of, it went from just making demos to going into those spaces and building as well, bringing it back here to mix or to depending on budgets and overdubs. Yeah, so I still at the moment, everything starts here where, in terms of pre-production or writing, if we're doing a writing set, and then, we might have to go somewhere to track it if it needs to, or if it doesn't, if we can do it from here, we will. And then ends back here mixing then, Yeah, no,
that's awesome. I mean, a lot of people will find that really interesting who don't make records. Not that Daniel Eck will ever watch this, but he probably just imagines that someone goes into a studio and they come out with a record.
But they do their 9 to 5.
That's it, done. Let's make another one. But it's a totally different thing, isn't it? It's like start at yours, then maybe go and track some stuff here, come back here, go there, and I'm not just mixing it and producing it. I might be writing some stuff, I might be playing on it. There's a whole millions of different. It's almost like like sort of tentacles of an octopus, of the route it might need to go to actually get to the end product.
To a place where it's not even finished, it's just ready to be released.
Yeah. Well, it's never finished.
He said it's never finished. It's just got to come out. It's just got to be released. Type of thing. It's you could always go. There's always things you listen and you're like, I wonder if. It's like, it's out now. It's done. The world has it. But that thing of just being able to. It takes so many things to align for it to be. To think that you can go in and do that every day with everyone, it's like you need a bit. It just needs to be that synergy in that. Between everything, the lyric, the music, the way you're both feeling that day, that the energy, the space they're in to commit it, to give the performance on it as well. Is kind of for someone like of Mr. Eck to think that can just be a daily thing that everyone can just go in and do. Like that's the entertainer strand of it. He's like, entertainers will do that for you every single day, and that's fine. But like, it's like you say Spotify for artists, there should be Spotify for entertainers. That's what you take. It's kind of, because that's that concept. And again, there's a place for that. There's always been a place for that, and unfortunately, it seems to be, in the way that. Culture with like the X Factors and the reality TV things like that seems like that, and unfortunately now is the wider perception of what this industry is. That it's like quick, easy. It's quick and easy to get there, and it's quick and easy to make your music, and it's quick and easy to fall off. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Where it's like even more than me in terms of like the years that you've been like working in it and seeing like the ebbs and flows of things and kind of the ups and downs, both me personally as well as like the actual music business and things. So it's kind of it's not it's not like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a sequence of steps that you can read in a manual, We'll start at 9 o'clock, and by the time we'll break for lunch, and at 5 o'clock it's finished. It's like
exactly.
Even just down to the simplest thing, like the dynamics between a band. You know, it could be like the bass player's argued with the drummer, so the drummer's not going to commit himself to putting that take down. It may be the same part he's playing, or she is playing, but it's the committing to it and that extra, where you put yourself into it and you believe in it, it's got a spark, and then everyone else sparks off that.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's about the energy between them, and again, that's a producer role, making sure that's right.
Yeah.
It's not about of course it's about the part they're playing, but it's about the part they're playing with each other.
Yeah.
You know, like we're all here to like get the best out of each other. We're not here to say your idea's wrong or you're not playing this right all the time. It's kind of like we're here to enable each other type of thing. It's like it's your record as a band.
Yeah.
It's when people first hear it, they won't be like, they won't know the detail of how we got there.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's another thing, again, on the Damon thing, he was like, oh, it's just been there. And he was like, I was worried about this. I was like, look, Damon, it doesn't matter the journey we take to get there.
Mm-hmm.
No one will know that unless, you set. All that matters is when they put it on, they have, 3, 4, 5 minutes of they love what they're hearing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you love what you love this end thing. It doesn't matter, like, they don't need to know that, like, what happened on this day and the chat that we had to have to get there, or like what, how long it took to get that done. That doesn't matter.
No, not at all.
Those things don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, do you like it? Or rather, I should say, do you love it? The people who made it. And then does it connect with people? And then they'll love it forever.
Yeah.
As you'll say, going back to the early Idlewild stuff, that you've still got that in you.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I had it with Echo and the Bunnymen, when I first heard The Cutter on the radio when I was 13, about to go to school.
Oh, yeah.
And then this was a song that sounded like nothing I'd ever heard. For instance, the sound of it, but the lyrics weren't, oh, baby, this, and blah, 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 like the usual sort of Radio 1 fodder. Yeah. I was like, I need to know more. And that's that thing. So you just dive into it and you fall in love with it. And then...
And it's crazy even thinking that record was like on mainstream radio.
I know.
Thinking now what you go through in terms of like when tracks are decided what's going to make it on the radio, or the process of something getting it on the radio. You think that was.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember I was chatting with Ali Staton. You might know he's got his studio down at Real World.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and he works with Touring Breaks and whatnot. And he was mixing something it wasn't Touring Breaks, someone else. And they were like, the radio plugger and the A&R guy came down to the studio. The band loved it. Ali finished the mix. It was like, great. They've been working on the album for ages. It was a really personal song to the singer in the band had written it. And the A&R guy and the radio plugger, they were just like, Ali, we need to turn the guitars down. Like, otherwise we won't get it on radio too. It's like, this is a guitar band. You can turn the guitars down. They've got fans who want to hear their guitars as well.
Yeah.
And the band have made it. They're a guitar band. That's what they do. It's not like, we won't get on radio too. Which that kind of stuff is just like, come on.
That's when it turns from like. That's when it's music business, isn't it? Not the creative side of it, and it's an interesting one. It's very like that one is like, and obviously in terms of where I'm at in my in what I do, I'm quite at the start. I feel like in terms of what I want to achieve, what I want to be able to create, what I want to do. It's like I'm at the start, and like it's interesting. Like the more steps I'm taking into that dark jungle of it, like those conversations when it's kind of sometimes you're like okay when you for the last 4 months when we were like getting it to this point and having to and of course those objective ears and their job is to like essentially get it in those places, that's what they're paid to do, and that is why but that's why it's so important to have that again, and that's there once in a blue moon, those synergies between like the A&R and the band of like, or the artist of, are they, your person in the room who when you're not there is like representing your creativity, not representing your potential earning.
Yes, absolutely.
For the company. And it's like, and of course, if there's going to be a trade-off, that's business, and if you're in the business, you're going to have, depending on who your relationships are, who you've done deals with, you're going to have those payoffs. But it's like, how much are you willing to, and how much does that person believe in you as what do they see you as like this creative, and who like they're a fan of what you've got to say, and they want to help get what you've got to say to as many people as possible, or are they thinking, we can make this much from this person for this amount of time? They're things, when I chat, artists will be like, oh, we've had a chat to so-and-so, or we've had a chat to so-and-so, they've said this. It's like, those conversations you have with people, management, early days, publishers, A&R, everyone it's not just about who they've worked with in the past. It's not just about it's about how do they line up with what you want to achieve?
Absolutely, yeah. And if it lines up, perfect.
Yeah.
But, most of the time, unfortunately, it doesn't.
And it's hard. I know it's hard. It's like I've been there as well. When a figure's there, you see what you can do with, or what that, it's like, it changes everything. It changes everything between bands. Once when they're talking about split, it's like, again, I'm like, people will ask me, oh, what should we do about our splits on this? I'm like, well, my advice would be, sort it out now. Before figures are on the table. No matter how you decide to do it, but you've got to decide, because once 100% of nothing is still nothing at the moment. But once like money's put on the table, then all of a sudden you see what that actually equates to, and then so it's like whatever you're gonna do, and it's like, and it's no surprise that like the people who've lasted the longest are the ones who've just decided, no matter what we do, this is split between us.
Oh, totally. I mean, I did that with my old band, early doors. When we got the first thing called a publishing contract, we didn't even know what it was. And then it was explained to us, and it's like, so you need to sort out. And they said, well, we all write everything. It will vary from song to song. Sometimes the singer would pretty much write everything, and other ones, me and the guitarist would write the whole thing. Other times the drummer would come up with a piano part. And we were just like, well, we all work together, so everything's just equal. And then the lawyer came in and said, great, sign here. Split everything, which is a great position to be, but also kind of rare. But that helped get rid of all future arguments about, but that bit is, that chord that I change in the middle.
Well, it means that you're equal, you all put in, you all want to put in as much as well to it. And it's like, it's not about that thing of like, it's the same when like I'll do a writing session, and it's like, whether you've kind of driven most of it in that day, or whether but sometimes it's like, in that regard, some people are like, oh, but I come up with all the ideas. I was like, but like, she sat in the corner and said, that's the right one. It's easy to keep coming up with ideas, but they picked out the best ones.
Exactly.
So who wrote it?
Exactly. Exactly. That's couldn't be more right. As you said, anyone could come up with an idea. Continually coming up with, I've got this bit, I've got that bit. But
and gradually getting louder as they're saying it as well. On those sessions when you're like, look, this isn't going to be like whoever shouts the loudest turns out to be the song.
As you said, it could be the guy or the girl sitting in the corner and said, that's it. And that is just like editing out everything else. We've arrived at this bit. That's part of the process.
And so it's kind of like, so what I'll say that is like, unless someone's not brought anything to the day type of thing, which is it's rare, and it's like, but whoever when we're doing a writing session, it's like whoever's in the room that day, it's just equal, rather than going through at the end and going through the lyrics, because it's like it's about the the big pot that's being stirred throughout the day, isn't it? It's kind of like you can't then once it's been boiled together, you can't then put it back to its original ingredients and be like, who brought what? Well, I brought the mushrooms. I brought this. It's like, no, it's like, it's this now. It's like we've all put in type of thing. We all took it in turns to stir. We all took it in turns to watch it while someone went off, do some of the jobs or whatever. So I think that's really important. That's really important that, especially at the writing stage.
Absolutely. And it's almost like at what, yes, as you say, someone may have only just brought the mushrooms to the recipe.
Maybe that was the wrong.
You know what I mean?
Ingredient.
Okay, they brought the E-7 to the song, but it's like
the mushrooms.
But it was
an interesting song that day.
But it's like, at what stage was the E-7 or the mushrooms put in? Because what went before it, and then how that changed the next ideas that came after it. So it's all a collaboration.
Definitely. And that's like, it's that's the thing as well. It's like trying to not have ego in the room, isn't it? So we've all got it. Of
Yeah.
course we have. Otherwise, we wouldn't think that what we've got to bring to a room is worth anything.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't. It's like controlling it, isn't it? And it's kind of, and again, that's part of production as well. When you're in the room with people, is kind of not letting yourself get in the way of the music. And what is like right, and like, of course, you've always, most of the time you've got like an idea for something or kind of a way to take it. To think, sometimes it's thinking on your feet, or sometimes it's something you've kind of been thinking about, since hearing the demo.
Yeah.
But also like between the, not letting one of the personalities kind of just like, put out everyone else's fire type of thing in the room as well. It's like such a fine chemistry, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've seen it happen. I will take his name out when I work. But this whole thing, and he doesn't do it on purpose because he's such a forceful personality. If he's had an argument in the morning, he will turn up at the studio.
Yeah.
And everyone's fires are put out immediately because that negative sort of thing. Yeah. It just and everyone just goes into their shells, and even though the producer's like, oh, fuck's sake, and we just like
they gone.
Let's just knock it off. Let's leave it. Let's just go to the pub. Yeah.
Well, it's like, I guess it's that same thing of like, if you take a dog for a walk in the morning, they have a one-to-one with another dog, then their hairs are up all day.
Yeah.
It's like they will not settle all day because that chemical is in them then for hours. And it's the same thing, isn't it? It's kind of like, and that's a lot of it again in the studio. It's like, oh, let's just come back to this one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
Oh, well, we're not stopping on it. We've got so far. It's like, yeah, trust me, let's just have a breather. Let's listen to something else. And you go back to it, they've been having an argument about a part or a section or a discussion. And you'd be like, let's just come back to it. Let's just get something else. Let's just go for some dinner. Let's just, and you come back and then you play it and they're like, oh, this sounds great. What do we do? It's like, nothing. We just stepped away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Just took up the break with these and a break with this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of, again, it's, you don't learn, you can't learn that from like textbook stuff, or that's experience of doing it and human going through that process of many times to not be like, we've got to finish today, we've got to get this done, we've got to
so when so where did it all start for you then? When you thought, oh, actually I can do this. I mean, obviously you're doing the whole primary school thing, but where was like a point where you went, oh, okay, so I always played in bands. Always played in bands early days, like early teens type of, started getting into music, started playing in like that kind of like punk hardcore bands, really like, loud, shouty stuff, which was fun, which is how I ended up meeting the Funeral for a Friend guys. That happened. And then, from there kind of, I went to uni for a bit then, didn't play in a band for a while and just started playing stuff on an acoustic guitar, learning to program beats, and trying to work out ways to put that together. Got a little EP deal with that stuff, like toured Europe a few times whilst training to be a primary school teacher at the same time, and then came back. Got my first like teaching job. We got this little space here which I could build, which I thought was to demo for my own stuff. Started demoing for other people. Then my friend was in a band called The Automatic. Oh, right, yeah.
And he had left that band, and we did some demos here and then got offered a deal.
Right.
And this was in my second year of teaching, and I was teaching like 80% of the week. Sorry, 80% of the week. And then, so we had this deal, and we were like, oh, wow, a deal. I'll leave, left work straight away.
Yeah.
We kind of left. And then that kind of gave me that was like a year and a half of just every day writing songs and working on things every day, getting up. It was like, this is our job to do this type of thing. So we'd get in every day, did a few tours, but we didn't release anything and got dropped.
Oh God.
The classic. But at the same time, it's like I managed to get a few bits of equipment, and that experience of like every day, like working on things. Yeah, but I don't begrudge any of that. I'm so thankful for it. Then that's when I started to use other studios as well. Then for other people's things, started to teach again because I knew, it was kind of, I know I got the stability of a few days of this whilst going into studios. And then, started doing more and more like that. And then a friend came over, we did a song. We put it online on SoundCloud, and a blog picked up on it.
Right, okay.
This blog picked up on it, put on it. And then by the end of the next week, we'd been featured in the Enemy New Bands thing. We weren't even a band.
Yeah.
We just put a name above it, and we were like, oh, flip. And then we had like pretty much every A&R like come to meet us, loads of management come to meet us. And then it was pretty surreal because it was like we just put this one song up.